So, welcome in this episode of Democracy Innovator podcast. And today we are here with Valentin Chaput from Open Source Politics. And welcome to this podcast. And I would
Thank you.
like to ask you as a first question, what is open source politics?
Yeah. So, what is open source politics? Open source politics is a company. We belong in the social economy sector. But yeah, we are a company almost 9 years old. We are based in Paris, in France. And as the name says, we are trying to bring open source to the political sphere and impact the political debates with open source software. So we basically provide open source tools to run participatory democracy processes. And for that, we especially use Decidim, which is one of those softwares. And obviously, we have more tools, more technologies, and also consulting and methodologies in order to succeed in those processes. But yeah, basically at the very beginning, it's using open source tools for political discussions and decisions.
Okay. So 9 years, it's quite a long time, especially in this field. And I would like to ask you, how did it change? Like, have you felt any change in time?
Yeah, I think so. There are different, obviously, ways to answer this question. What I can say is that almost 10 years ago in France, and it was, I think, quite typically French at that moment, we had a lot of projects that were using civic technologies, and we had a lot of hope that it will really bring big changes. And it was not the only place. Obviously, Spain was advanced. We had connection with Taiwan, with Latin America, with Greece, and in all those countries and political backgrounds, there were a desire to use new tools in order to do political action a bit differently. So that was really 10 years ago. A lot of enthusiasm, a lot of volunteering, and a lot of projects that were just starting, bootstrapping. And then we had another period where, and especially for us in France, it was after the 2017 presidential election. What was before just let's say a movement became, let's say, a business or market, and most of the people, including us, who were advocating for those new tools and new politics, became companies, became civil servants with responsibilities on the field. So we really had more professionalism using those tools. So it became very concrete. And I would say that for the past 3-5 years, we are in a second period where we have had the innovations. We made all the first pilots and pioneering with a few projects, and now we are running a lot of them, replicating in different spheres, and also we are starting to also criticize somehow what has been done, what could be done differently. And at the moment, especially in France, but I think in all Southern Europe, we have a trend that is slowly decreasing, or at least discussing the real impact of those tools. And I think there are two trends, two options. One is to consider that, and it's open. It opens a new direction. It's that we need new tools, new technologies, especially using AI, because obviously it will have an impact on those civic technologies. So there is this, let's say, solutionistic vision, and then there is also another trend that is, okay, we need to go deeper with the processes to make them maybe do a little less, but make sure that they have an impact, make sure that they are really relevant, they are involving people, and at the end they bring real change and not just new tools, new innovation, and a lot of communication. So those two trends are interesting, and actually we are trying to explore both at Open Source Politics, because obviously from the very beginning we are saying that the tools are not magical. They bring a lot, but they are not magical, and we have to make sure that they are really useful.
Yeah, of course, developing a tool is not enough. There has to be a real adoption and real use cases. And so it seems to me that, if I understood correctly, that there was an increase in the latest years about developing tools.
Yeah.
And I think there was maybe also some more interest from the institutions to adopt this kind of tools. And so open source politics works mainly in French, or not?
Mostly in France in terms of number of contracts, but we also work at the European level. We work with the European Commission, a few European projects, a few European cities as well in other countries, member states. And also we have had some projects outside of Europe, especially we are working with the city of New York in the US, because they also use Decidim. But yeah, mostly, obviously, it's in France and otherwise in Europe. Yeah.
Okay, and as you said, to go deeper in the processor, in the processes. So the two trends. One could be building new tools, especially with AI, and the other to understand more the processes that made the tools work. I wonder, like on the political side, institutions, politicians are aware of the potentiality of technology in the
Yeah. So obviously, I saw those two trends, but I think they are complementary. Like we need to always improve the tools and also reflect on how to use them. I would say that some public institutions and some politicians are well aware of the potential impact, the need to use those tools, but also the interest of developing open source technologies, to be sovereign with the tools that we use, especially in Europe. And it's part of the news those days with what happens in the US with all the big tech. So for that, there is political concern. Probably some people are really reflecting and on that. I would say also that there is a trend that we see, that some other politicians or decision makers or institutions are considering that the tools, they are proposing new ways to interact, but they are not that revolutionary, and somehow they are sometimes they cannot completely follow the trend and always use them. And we see that some territories are somehow going back, like reversing what was done, mostly for financial reasons, like they do not have the budget to continue, or it's not considered as a priority in this world where we have a lot of other concerns. So it's really a mixed answer, I would say, on my side. But for sure, there is also a lot of progress that was made in advocating open source technologies, in promoting civic technologies over the past 10 years, for sure.
Okay. And thinking about new tools, but also about the tools that are used right now. So Decidim is,
Mm.
I think it could be for maybe the core.
Yeah.
But are there other tools that are very used
Yeah.
by institutions right now?
Yeah. So Decidim, it's interesting to just tell the story once again. In Spain, 2011, among all the Occupy movements around the world, there were the Quince Mayo in Spain, so the Indignados, as we also said. So political demonstrations, a new generation asking for new innovation, new ways to do to interact with the institutions, new ways to do politics. 4 years later, citizen coalitions have won the largest cities in Spain: Madrid, Valencia, Barcelona, La Coruña, and this new generation started to create new tools. One of them was created in Madrid. It was Consul. It still exists. And Decidim was created by the city of Barcelona because they did not agree with Madrid on the roadmap for the tool. Decidim was created from the very beginning as a very modular tool. So as you say, it's a core engine, and then you can plug modules. And from the very beginning, it lets a lot of freedom to the administrators to create processes, to assign roles, to use different features that are surveys, ID generation, event organization, participatory budgeting, voting phase, petitions, collaborative writing, blogging even. So it's really they wanted to create kind of an alternative and political social network at a local level, and that was so Decidim is generic. It offers a lot of possible configurations, and it's really it's the main website for an institution that will want to open a participatory democracy or use digital democracy. Obviously, it has several competitors that can do almost the same, that are in the same area of providing different tools within the same portal. But I think on this field of generic tools, the CDM is probably the best in the way that it is the most ethical. It is run by an association. It is 100% open source. It is very interesting in the governance aspect also, but we will probably come back to that later. And then there are other tools that are more maybe specialized in one interaction. So for example, there is a tool that exists for almost 10 years also, that is quite famous. It's Polis, pol.is. And this is, it was in advance in the trend of AI. And from the very beginning, it's asking users to answer some questions, or at least to make a stance on different questions, and it designs a map of the controversies. Like, it regroups people who have the same interest or the same answers, and it can very efficiently show you if your debate is controversial, or and what are the 2 or 3 groups that can be identified when talking about something. It was used, for example, in Taiwan almost 10 years ago in a debate on the use of Uber and other kind of services that are the same, like car sharing it was quite new for them, so they used the tool, and it was one of the best use case probably for that. It has been used. More recently, we have seen other tools like the ones from another French company that is make.org, which is one of our partners. And they have a tool that is very efficient it's quite simple in the sense of it is limited to short proposals made by users and then voting on those, and really fast analytics, and with the idea to reach a lot of participants, and then also identify controversies or more supported proposals. And they are bringing more AI into their tools as well, to explain and describe all the aspects of a political debate. So those are more specified, like specialized tools, and I think it's the trend. We'll see both happening. So very large and generic and very useful portals. Decidim being probably the best possible option, and then more specialized tools with one interaction that they really do well, and we can connect all those tools, obviously.
Okay, thank you. Very interesting. Maybe we'll go back to tools later. I wanted to ask you again about open source politics. Like, how did it happen? Like, because right now still is a very niche. Like, not a lot of
Yeah.
people are in this field.
Yeah.
But I can imagine that 10 years ago it was even.
What is surprising, and maybe it's an issue, it's that people that are here today were already there 10 years ago, at least in France, and mostly, if we consider, if we look at also other countries like Decidim, it was created 8 years ago, or 9 years ago. So it's really happening. It was happening at the same time. And the world was very different. It was before the first mandate of Donald Trump. It was before Brexit. It was before Cambridge Analytica. It was really a time when we considered that digitalization was the only solution or the main solution, and we were very, again, optimistic about it. Twitter was very different, obviously. Yeah, 10 years ago, if I bring my own story, I was already working in the political field, in a local institution, and then in the French Parliament. I was advising decision makers, and I felt that there was a divide between the population and the decision-making process, and obviously the politicians. So I was not obviously the only one to see that, but I decided to try something else, and I followed a boot camp to learn the basics of coding. So it was exactly 10 years ago. In this boot camp, I drafted a prototype of a tool that never existed, but a tool that could help citizens understand the process of writing the law, the new law. We wanted it to be open source, and after this bootcamp, I met with the other people who were interested in the field in Paris. There were already quite a few of them, and among them, I met my future co-founders. At first, we published a few texts. We organized a few workshops and hackathons to improve the existing tools. And one of the events that we organized was a way to draft or to create a new tool for a city near Paris. And from there, we received requests to provide additional tools to other territories, and we decided to create the company. But from the very beginning, we really had this commitment to open source. We really considered it was very important in general, but especially when we are talking about political technologies or obviously digital democracy that has an impact on decision making. And we were also very attracted by what was being created outside of our country, and it's there that we met people in Taiwan, in Mexico, and especially in Spain and in Barcelona. So the story of Decidim and open source politics is really closely related, because we were one of the first partners of Decidim outside of Catalonia. And it was really through Decidim that we were able to grow as a company, as also consultants looking at how we can use those digital tools for citizen participation. So yeah, the story was that, and from there, like obviously we had 1 or 2 first years of exploration, and after that it was a general increase over the time.
It's interesting that you do not came from computer science. So if you can say maybe 2 words about your background, because I think it's interesting.
So one of the key ingredient in the recipe of open source politics is that we were 4 co-founders coming from different backgrounds, but sharing the same interest. So on my side, I came from political science. So I attended, and really I was an expert, or had previous knowledge and experience in basically the area where our clients were, so the public institutions and especially local ones. But my co-founders, one of them was more on the product side of online tools, and one of them is still the CTO of open source politics, was a developer for already almost 10 years. So yeah, we had all the expertise, and combining our different backgrounds, we were quite successful in the first years because we were very complementary and agreeing on the roadmap, and it was quite simple, yeah, to really understand everything that was needed on the IT side and also the business side.
Okay. And there was like, I don't know if you remember, like a moment in your life when you realized that this union between politics and technology was something very interesting for you.
Probably there were several, but until like I was interested in digital affairs, but I was really not understanding anything before I attended the bootcamp, and that was the reason why I wanted to be more have more knowledge about it. But I would say probably during the American presidential elections of Barack Obama, there was a lot of interest, like social network were growing. He made, or his team has made a lot of progress in organizing through the internet, and I think I was more interested in politics than digital first, and I understood that it was a new way to do the politics. So I think that came it came from there. But also I was always interested in new technologies, new trends. But really, for a very long time, I was just not understanding anything about computer science, and I still understand pretty much, or not a lot, but at least I understand a little bit more. Yeah. So I think it was. So in terms of age, I was probably in my 20s, early 20s, when I started really having an interest for that. Yeah.
Okay, it's very interesting to see how people evolve.
Yeah, I think I was also blogging and liking to read blogs. So it really was 20 years ago. And blogging had a lot of impact. In France, we had this moment 20 years ago, in 2005, where we had a referendum on the European treaties. And it was the people rejected the treaty, and a lot of the debate has happened online through blogs and forums. So very old school, but that probably the interest also came from that.
Okay,
Yeah.
and talking about maybe going back to tools,
Yeah.
and that I mean they are an important part because I mean if depending how the tool is designed, then also the people behave in different way because the citizen have to do something instead of something else. And so how thinking about new tools, do you feel that something is needed? I mean, we say that now there is AI, and probably we will see more integration with AI in the future. But is there something like, I don't know, tools should be
Yeah.
more, I don't know, bottom up, or like, is
Yeah.
there something related to the design that you think it's important to?
Yeah. So I would say first, what we have currently, the tools were designed mostly for by institutions or for the interest of institutions. So they are somehow quite top down. Obviously, some of them are made to let emerge new ideas, new proposals, but it's most of the time coming from the institution. So they are not completely grassroots and citizen based. For that, we have petitions. I would say that's the main tool that let people organize. And the other aspect is that the tools are built for an age of writing and reading. And the trend is that new generations tend to speak and watch videos and reels and short formats and not focus on text. And so the tools are not completely aligned with the basic habits of people on the internet, especially younger generations now. So there is an effort to be made in order first to integrate more direct interaction, probably, for example, letting people just record their voice when they share an ID and bring that ID to the system. At the moment, it's not completely done, but it's feasible technically. And also, using artificial intelligence capacities for an interesting purpose that would be helping people understand the debates, what is at stake, because obviously no one reads the 30 pages report that you should read before taking part in the process. But if you have a summary and you can ask a few questions, then you can obviously be more informed. You can propose an idea and maybe be assisted in the reformulation of this idea in order to make sure that it's not the same idea as someone else has just published, or it can, in the contrary, create a bridge between different ideas and make sure that we cluster those ideas and we can enrich them. So for that, I think there is a need for new technologies, new tools. Another aspect is that, and we are looking at it at the moment with other partners, but Open Source Politics is really doing that. It's how we make sure that those contributions are interoperable with other tools. So, for example, just before I told you that maybe, for example, make.org has a very powerful tool to make people vote massively in favor or against different proposals. But the ID generation is more powerful on Decidim, because on Decidim you can have categories, attachments, comments, endorsements on proposals. For example, you could have first proposals on Decidim and then you send them to make.org in order to have a massive voting on them. And maybe the top 20 proposals, you can enrich them on Decidim and go back. So that would be the kind of interaction that we want to create, making sure that also when, I don't know, there is a debate in Italy on climate change, and there is also this debate in France. And maybe it's interesting to compare or to even share the proposals, because obviously the same debates are happening everywhere. Like the number of debates on governance of AI at the moment, everywhere there seems to be one. If we could just have a larger space where we could share all the insights from those debates, obviously the decision and the deliberation will be more powerful. We also need, and I think it's one of the interests of your own work, tools for deliberation, like to go a bit further in the process, not just sharing an idea, a comment, a vote, but really co-creating, co-building political public policies. That would be necessary to also develop maybe new tools that can again blend with what happens physically in workshops, in public assemblies, citizen panels, and so on. So for all that, I think we might need new tools, and to lower the barrier, but also go very like really deeper in terms of understanding, analysis, and complexity also.
Yeah, it seems to me like to see two different trends in the civic tech field.
Yeah.
One is more to sort of replicate the actual functioning of institutions,
Yeah.
just in the digital space to make it easier to vote,
Yeah.
to receive feedbacks. And the other one is more like to experiment, to find new ways for people to decide about something. And these new ways, of course, have to be tested and then or eventually adopted by institutions.
Yeah.
And I see this part as very interesting and
Yeah, I think it
also
has
very delicate.
Yeah, but I think it was also it was always the debate on should we improve the current functioning of our institutions or somehow generate new ones, or even create new ones and consider the current ones are not working. So obviously, and I think the two again can evolve in parallel. And for example, Decidim, it's a tool designed by an institution for other institutions, and in some ways, when we provide the tool to new institutions, they are just functioning as they are. They are a bit more open maybe than 10 years ago on some topics, on some processes. But probably it's not revolutionary. It's not changing the rules enough. So there are also voices that want to really bypass the current institutions and somehow generate more citizen engagement, create new projects using the power of technology. And I think what is interesting with open source is that with the same tool that the institution help designing and creating, developing, we can have other types of movements that will use the same tool, benefit from the public investment, and generate more engagement with that. That's what we could hope for. Yeah.
Thank you. And thinking about all the people that right now, I don't know how to call them, if digital activists, people interested in the civic tech, how do you think they are collaborating right now? And is there space to any kind of improvement to make it more efficient for?
Yeah, so I think what I have seen is that most of our competitors, the other companies that created tools, they created their own tool. So it's difficult for them to go beyond their tool because they always want to improve it and sell it and sell it more. With Decidim, we have a different approach. We consider that we have to be all collaborating on the same tool. And it's what is also very interesting. Like we consider that, for example, the other companies deploying services, providing services around Decidim, we do not consider them as competitors, but as partners. And obviously, sometimes they will gain a contract that we will not have, but it's more important that we have this common project where we all share our resources. We contribute really to improve Decidim, and for that, Decidim was really a very interesting project because as it is a digital democracy platform, it was used by the creators of Decidim in order to run the project democratically. So there is now, so it came from the city of Barcelona, but for several years now, it is run by an independent association with different type of partners. Some of them are companies, others are institutions, others are more on the technical side. There are universities, there are also researchers and citizens that are really interested in committing to the common, to the project. And we have this process of an open roadmap of the tool. Anyone can share new ideas for new features, and I think you did so. The tools are the options are then evaluated by a professional product team. Some of them being then funded by public institutions, and there are different providers who share the same standards in order to add new features to the platform. So that has been really a success. Maybe it's not the tool that evolves the fastest, but it is one of the richest in terms of spaces, features, combination that you can create, and it's also the one that is the most transparent. Like you can access all the history of the tool online. You can really be part of it, contribute. So for that, again, I would say it's really a good inspiration for someone discovering civic tech to look at what Decidim has done. And again, in order to expand that, it's what we want to do with interoperability. So it's really making sure that we create a standard to share content from one platform to the other. And we can imagine that in 5-10 years, no matter the tool that you use, all data will share the same protocols, the same standards, and you will be able to, as a user, as a citizen, bring your own data and do not store it on the platform itself, and then interact with people using different platforms, probably in different languages in different countries, and all that being also facilitated by machine translation, AI analysis. That would be interesting to see, yeah, how we can move from every institution having its own platform, every company developing its own software, to a real public space, very distributed, using different technologies, open source standards, at a larger scale. That could be really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very exciting to think about all the technologies that are being developed, right? I mean, that were developed and are being developed, and we will be developed in the
Yeah,
next
yeah, yeah,
future.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And thinking about all these, I would say a sort of ecosystem
Yeah.
where, I don't know, someone has a new idea about a new tool. They just develop that small part that then can be a module of Decidim, or then
Exactly.
can be just a standalone product with some API that other product can use.
Mm-mm-mm.
And I would like to ask you if there is, I don't know, any project that you are excited about. Also, a project that you have seen on the internet that you are.
Yeah. So apart from the ones that we are already involved in, I don't know if there will be projects really directly related to what we talk about. Yeah, I would say the project. So I consider that civic technology, they're interesting when they interact with the life cycle of a public debate, public decision. So at first, there is really this importance of information and quality of information, and it's something that has it's really a battle at the moment. We have seen a lot of fake news spreading for the past 10 years. We see with AI and deepfake that now it is uh, more simple if you have the funds and the knowledge to even disrupt political debates, political elections. And we are already at risk with that. We look at what happened in Romania with someone emerging in 1 month and a half with just content and fake news and able to almost win a presidential election. We see what happens in Germany at the moment with Elon Musk supporting the far right, and they are raising in the polls dangerously. So we see that it's really important to have to improve the quality of information and to resist to all the attacks that we see. And for that, there are new tools that probably are being developed that will also help people like detect when there is a manipulation, where there is a fake news, and we can automatize that. So that's interesting. Then we have tools to so information, then mobilization. You are informed, you want to act on that field. I think there are very powerful tools that already exist to organize campaigns, fundraising. So that I would say it's already almost covered. It will obviously improve, but it already exists. And then when you are mobilized, you have your debate, and you need to make a decision. You need a better deliberation. And I think, among the different tools that should exist and are being envisioned and maybe developed already, there is this whole objective of recreating the advantages of face-to-face discussion in order to bring deliberation online at a larger scale, maybe multilingual, maybe on very different difficult topics. And for that, there are some new technologies. It could be summarizing discussion with real humans online in order to help. Because we always share more when we discuss than when we write down a comment. And we wait 5 hours before there is an answer. So it's this recreation of a face-to-face interaction in a larger group or bilateral, thanks to synthesis made by AI, thanks to maybe translation as well. That's really interesting and important, probably, that we create that. And then, so there are the 4 steps: information, mobilization, decision/deliberation. And then I think what is important is also evaluation and sharing data, sharing knowledge, thanks to again all the open data analysis. We have new tools, new visualization. It's simpler than ever to really understand what came from 1,000 IDs that are written on the platform. So there are some tools that are really interesting as well in this field. And I think if we can make kind of a coherent ecosystem of different tools addressing all those parameters, we will improve the quality of digital democracy. Obviously, it's a big challenge also because, as you said, it's a small niche. There is not a lot of money in this sector anymore, and there are very powerful tools outside of it that do not want to have a long and peaceful deliberation. So it's a big challenge, but I think there are some interesting stuff.
And do you have any message for the people like active in the field or that would like to do something about, I don't know, developing new tools or like?
Yeah,
I mean,
I think. Yeah, I think.
please.
I think most importantly, open source. Like it's. As you said in a previous question, it's important to consider that the core already exists. We already have tools. We already have networks to discuss that. We have to be modular, bring new modules, new features, new ideas, new people, and that's the way we will create a digital common that is more powerful. So the suggestion would be just to connect with people already in the field, share the ideas, try to do a little proof of concept of what it could be, and then make sure that it is interoperable with what already exists. Because we need so much more developers, so much more designers, so much more political leaders, really contributing to bring this field to the next level. So it's open. We need more people, and the good news is that the basis already exists. I think it's quite solid. It's quite stable, but we have to expand it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And is there anything else that you'd like to share that you think it's worth it to?
No, I would say thank you for the invitation, the discussion. It's interesting to see that there is new interest in this for this projects in general, new energy, also from maybe new parts of Europe, and so yeah, thank you for that. Good luck for this podcast and the future episodes of this podcast. I was really happy to be part of it, and then yeah, let's discuss again further on how we can improve those technologies altogether. Yeah,
Absolutely. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I